Colleen, this is a very fluid situation. In fact, I want to start with what just happened. A few minutes ago, crews extended this police tape behind me. They're pushing back this scene just because of how severe this fire is growing. And you could see it right behind me in my live shot. That fire is still going on after burning for several hours now. I believe we have Sky Drone 57 up in the air right now. You can see just how massive this smoke is carrying. It's actually covering most of downtown LaGrange. SVU is alleging the suspect fired a high-powered rifle into the victim's vehicle. That happened Sunday afternoon on the 900 block of Huey Street, just about 7 miles away from where I am right now. 3 days later, St. Joseph County Police would end up at this home in the Farmington Hills complex to take that suspect into custody. A large portion of the street has been swallowed by this sinkhole, and so much so police and crews have effectively closed off Dale Street down to Lebanon, again on Indiana Avenue. This is the 900 block. In fact, I want to show you something. There's a picture that I took. This is a closer look at that sinkhole that's in the middle of the street. This is right outside of Ravenna Park. I'm going to step behind the camera now to give you an even closer look. Again, you can see there crews working down the street as they start to do whatever it takes to patch up this very large hole. And then there's the hole right there. It's a sizable chunk of this street on the 900 block of Indiana Avenue. Brian, countless faith leaders stepped up, opened up arms to this community, including Bishop Atterbury Sr. He opened up the doors of his church while he spent the night in the hospital with one of the shooting victims, who also happened to be his son. Behind me, the parking lot here at South Bend Orthopedics is just about clear. I was told earlier staff and patients were allowed to trickle out after being under lockdown for a few hours. As we head back to the area where the actual rally will take place, is closer to 3rd Street and Independence. Sheriff Bailey, during the press conference that he had with the media, almost at the verge of tears. He's lost colleagues today, and he still has to investigate how this could have happened. Brian, Colleen, the venue behind us, as you can see, is starting to break down, but just under 2 hours ago, the president stood on that very stage and expressed his desire to make the system simpler for the average American. Videos like this one went viral 2 days ago. Students in Denver, Colorado walked out of class by the thousands to protest the decision to rescind DACA, but teens here at John Adams decided they wanted to make a statement as well. Michigan and Monroe has fallen by the wayside, partly because this building has been inactive for decades. But with nearly $2 million of investment from the city, officials are hoping new life can rise from the ashes of this historic facade. With each new snapshot, a new look at where the city is growing.
I would like to see some new buildings to keep these companions.
And where that growth has seemingly stopped. You, Stabin on Peters, instrumental in making today happen. Talk about the process leading up to today's event.
Well, you know, the normal process is you got to get everything cataloged and approved within 5 years, and that just wasn't the case here. We knew we had a great story, we knew that it was genuine, and we knew that the Pentagon had to know that it might be a little bit longer.
What was your thoughts when you saw this trending and you saw so many women coming forward to speak out?
Personally, I felt empowered by it. I felt it gives younger women that's hiding it courage to come out and speak about it.
But these young women in the room would also like to see the boys speak out.
Would y'all even feel comfortable doing that?
If I see if it's getting to a certain point where it's just like certain disrespect, then yeah, I'll most definitely address it to him.
Senator Dan Coates tells me Indiana is setting a standard for the country, and the recognition that our elected officials are getting is proof of that. Now, I spoke with Senator Coates today about his thoughts on Governor Pence's involvement in this year's presidential race. Right before I went live, John Gregg was on the stage behind me. I was tweeting some words from him. I just want to quote one of his sayings today. He says, "Although tonight is disappointing, tomorrow can still be our day." You know, many people from the Democratic Party, whether it be in Michiana or Indy, they said this was their year. This was their night. Might have heard from Commander Tim Corbett with Metro Homicide, but at this point, here's what we know. Quite a few city officials, county officials came together in support of the family. They sent their condolences first and foremost at this press conference that he held at 4 o'clock, but then also reached out to the community. There are several fire departments from different counties, different townships that have decided to step up. In fact, there are 4 counties out here working to put out this massive fire.
You'll notice we didn't want to die. We don't want to lie down. We wanted to send a message to Congresswoman Walorski that this is important to us and shine a light on what the bill that she voted for actually does.
A morbid message sent by a large crowd of folks that feel their voices aren't being heard.
Why won't she come out and tell us why she voted for this bill that takes health care away from thousands of her constituents?
Right outside the Congresswoman's doors, a die-in demonstration representing the actual deaths they believe will happen under the American Health Care Act if Medicaid is phased out. Right around the time these folks took to the streets, the Congressional Budget Office weighed in on the bill. By the numbers, they anticipate 14 million currently covered would be uninsured as soon as the bill is signed into law. 9 million more would lose coverage by 2026, but the report estimates the bill would cut the deficit by more than 100 billion in over a decade. Congresswoman Walorski saw silver linings in the CBO report, saying in part in a statement sent to ABC 57 News, too many Hoosiers are facing higher premiums, fewer options, and collapsing system under Obamacare. She goes on to say the CBO today again confirmed the American Health Care Act will provide relief to Hoosier families by lowering premiums over the long term. But some wish she relayed that message in person. Constituent Rose dressed today in an outfit she wore to her daughter's funeral just 2 weeks ago.
She would want me to be out here.
They're on Medicaid, which she says doesn't cover respite care, what her daughter Daphne needed during a fatal hypoglycemic episode overnight. She now has questions for Walorski.
Why we don't deserve the same insurance that she has.
He says it's quite a change from his South Bend schedule, but he's doing it all to change the party.
A modest mayor from flyover country looking to make headway in an oversaturated DNC chair race.
We know the path is narrow, but it's right there in front of us. And our job is to run up that path.
Along his path to becoming the face of the party, Buttigieg picked up 9 endorsements from fellow mayors, 4 nods from governors across the country, and 5 stamps of approval from former DNC chairs, including Howard Dean.
Where everybody talks about the future is now. The future is not now unless you vote for it. And this is the future.
The latest high-profile endorsement who's campaigning for Pete ahead of Saturday's vote. The two connected because Dean feels he's a fresh face in an important race.
I'm supporting Pete because I want them to be interested and see somebody who looks like them running the party.
Could Pete be the party's pitch to millennial voters, or is it too soon?
Pete, what do you say to critics who like you, who say that you're a good candidate, but say that you're too young or too inexperienced to lead the party?
I don't know why we would say that we want to engage a new generation, and then when the new generation puts forward a contender to lead that charge, say that it's not time. How is it not time? If not now, when?
Then we were like, wait, what just happened? And we were like listening, going through online, seeing what just happened. Then I was a little bit angry for like 2 seconds. I was like, why would you do this to us? And then I cried for a minute. And now I'm okay.
50-plus volunteers not sure what to think following a heartbreaking withdrawal.
It's time for the party that I step aside.
It's also time for self-reflection for those who campaigned hard for Mayor Pete Buttigieg until the very end.
I don't think anybody who was out there pushing the message right before this room was built up knew about it. But rolled with the punches, and we're still proud.
Heartbroken, but they understand why he did it.
Him pulling out of the race like this in order to move on and make sure we can get the vote done quicker and that we can come together quicker is selfless.
And win or lose, they say they see great things in the mayor's future.
There's need everywhere. You know, everyone could use some support and help. We're saying it's our turn. We're saying let's put that money and those dollars into those areas where we've actually not invested in so long.
There's a movement growing inside the county city building, and it's aimed at bringing equity to neighborhoods haunted by missed opportunities.
Those areas where those tax dollars for those residents have really been funneled in other places.
Over the past 5 years, the most prominent place for investment has been downtown South Bend.
This is really an opportunity for us to be leaders.
So stepping up to the plate, Councilwoman Regina Preston Williams, determined to spread the development boom to forgotten hoods around town.
We began bringing this to the community. What it's become now is, and we're kind of calling it 100 houses, 500 families.
It's a program that will identify target areas in need of restoration. It will then build new homes in the lots leveled during the 1,000 Homes in 1,000 Days initiative. It will also provide funding, resources, and support in order to keep those in surrounding houses in these newly revitalized neighborhoods.
Development without displacement. But what that means is that we have to make sure that we're providing affordable housing options for everyone.
The city's push for fair and affordable housing actually started in the 50s in this neighborhood. A group of African Americans came together to fight for better homes.
Not only that they succeeded in building 22 homes in what was then a white neighborhood, but that they created such a vibrant community.
In the book, Better Homes of South Bend, Gabrielle Robinson chronicled a 5-year fight to build up homes blocked to black people. I met with her and a once young daughter of Better Homes organizer Arnold Allen, who faced that struggle firsthand.
I know what housing was not available to them. I know what they went through to get Better Homes going, and to see them move into their new home and to see them live long enough to pay it off.
Also fighting on the front lines, Leroy Cobb. He owns a couple of homes still standing on this block. In fact,
I'm excited for Uncle Leroy.
I met with his niece, who's living in one of those homes today.
You can't really even imagine that, but I'm just glad that I got a chance to listen to his story, and now I guess I get to live it.
She's living in a block preserved and soon to be historic, but she and others recognize a need to restore surrounding neighborhoods.
You have to have courage and persistence and patience, and you have to organize.